This is the Maxus G50. AC Motors and Maxus Philippines were kind enough to invite me and a couple of new media friends to test drive this all the way to Subic. This one right here is the base model, but we got to drive all the variants. We got to drive it on a track. We got to drive it on the highway. And we got to drive it on twisty roads. So, is it worth the money? Let's find out. Usually when you think MPV, you think box on wheels, but I think the G50 is pretty stylish by MPV standards. It looks sleek and it looks aggressive, especially here at the front. Mukhang Transformer sa harap. I'm getting Megatron vibes over here. So it gets this massive grille. On the base model, it's painted in silver. On higher models, it is chrome. The base model gets projector headlamps. The turn signals and the DRLs are LEDs, but the actual headlamps are halogens. Over here, it gets air vents. These are actual air vents, which feed air into the wheel wells. And down here, it gets a very aggressive chin for a more sporty look. Of all the variants of the G50, yung base model lang yung may ibang engine. This is a 1.3-liter engine, but don't let the low displacement fool you because this is turbocharged. So it produces 150 horsepower and 230 Newton meters of torque. That's about 50% more horsepower than the Avanza G and 100% more torque. The higher models come with a 1.5-liter engine, which produces 167 horsepower and 240 Newton meters of torque. The base model comes with a 6-speed manual, and the other variants come with a 7-speed dual-clutch transmission. The G50 is one of the longest MPVs in its class. This is longer than the Avanza, and not just by a little bit. It is longer by 430 millimeters, or about 17 inches. It's also longer than the Innova by 70 millimeters. So this is 95 millimeters wider than the Avanza, but it's 5 millimeters narrower than the Innova. From this angle, it looks more sleek and aerodynamic than your average MPV. You get these up-swept lines, giving it a dynamic look. The lines also give the impression that it tapers towards the back, even though it doesn't. It's actually just a box on wheels. You also get these character lines down here. So it gets a floating roof design, and by that I mean the B, the C, and the D pillars are all blacked out. I think the effect works better on lighter colored cars, especially pag naka-dark yung tint. So the base model gets 16-inch wheels, the top of the line gets 18s, and the ones in the middle get 17s. All variants get disc brakes on all 4 corners. So here at the back, the G50 gets LED tail lamps connected by this chrome strip over here. And below that, you get the Maxus logo. The base model gets a manual liftgate. The higher models get power liftgates. So in here, you get usable space behind the third row seats. But if you fold the third row seats, you get this much cargo space. And if you fold the second row seats, you get this much cargo space. So this is a lot more spacious than your average SUV or crossover. By the way, Maxus markets the G50 as an 8-seater. So these third row seats should be able to accommodate 3 passengers. Let's test that out. Okay, so the third row is actually very spacious. Legroom is pretty good. I have decent knee room and my knees are at a comfortable angle. If you need more legroom, you can move the second row seat forward. Headroom is also very good. I have about 3.5 to 4 inches of headroom. So Maxus claims that you can fit 3 passengers in here, and it looks like you can, although the center passenger will have to be a bit on the slim side. So this right here is the base model, but I think in terms of design and in terms of materials, this looks better than even the top of the line Avanza. So you get this 2-tone color scheme, you get black and beige. I think the beige looks very nice, but obviously you have to take extra care of it para hindi mamansyahan. The top of the dashboard is soft padded, but everything else is made of hard plastic. But the base model also doesn't get a push start button. Instead, you have to start it the old school way. So I think this looks very nice. Yung downside lang is that it doesn't come with an infotainment screen. The higher models come with a massive 12-inch screen though, and the one that comes after this comes with an 8-inch screen. The top of the line variant also gets a panoramic sunroof, a 360 camera, a wireless phone charger, a power tailgate. It's one of the most feature-packed MPVs that you can buy in the Philippines, and it puts the Innova and the Avanza to shame. Space at the second row is quite plentiful. Over here you have two air vents, one USB port over here, and one 12-volt outlet. So at the back of the seats you have pockets for loose items. Also on the passenger seat, you also got a center armrest with two cup holders. You'll never run out of headroom in the G50, even if you're 6'8". I'm guessing that's about 7 inches of headroom. I'm 5'8". The first itinerary of any post-pandemic media drive is always my least favorite, the swab test. Wes Kabungkal of Bearing Page Motoring carpooled with me because coding and kotse niya. He didn't seem to look forward to it very much either, so at least I had company in misery.
Why are we still here? Just to suffer? Every night, I can feel my leg.
So after the swab test, we changed into our Maxus shirts, had breakfast, and then we got into our respective vehicles. So I think I'm in the middle spec variant. This one has fabric seats. It has a leather wrapped steering wheel. Oh, look at this. This looks nice. It has this holographic pattern on it. It's glossy as well. Definitely a lot better looking than the Avanza. Let's see what's in here. Do we have a reverse camera? Yeah, with active guidelines. And you also get front and rear parking sensors.
Lights while we're in Makati, where we have police leading us. Car number 4.
Okay, so we're about to depart.
Car number 3, falling in line, over.
So this will be a 3-hour trip. So far, I love the seats. They feel very comfortable, very supportive.
Will we be doing our Soju Cars and Reagan podcast going to Subic, over? Make sure the right lane is for the bicycles, don't block that lane.
We have a police escort. Wow, I feel like a VIP. It's actually surprisingly smooth, man. And the ride is very good. Definitely a lot better than the Avanza. Way better. It doesn't feel like you're driving a 7-seater MPV. It feels like you're just driving a crossover.
I could wait 1,000 days. You never wait for me. You never wait for me. Even when I ran away, you're all that I could see. You're all that I could see when I could hardly walk on my own. I had to lift myself out of the trench.
That's pretty good power. Downshift. Downshift to 4th. Not bad. Gonna move to the right lane.
Yeah, car number 2.
Yeah, so the gear ratio is pretty short. Like if I downshift, the RPM barely goes up. It's a 6-speed transmission, but I'm doing 2,200 RPM at 100 kph. So the manual is actually a lot of fun to drive. The transmission, the shifter feels notchy. It's very easy to rev match. Power's good. Oh my god, I'm doing 100. Didn't even realize it. The G50 is a pleasure to drive on the highway. It's so quiet that 150 kph feels like 100. Not that I reached that speed, by the way. It has plenty of power on tap, which makes overtaking easy and also quite a bit of fun. That's true for both the 1.3 and the 1.5 engines. The 1.3 actually feels a bit more peppy because of the manual transmission. The steering feels relatively sharp for an MPV. It doesn't feel like you're driving a van. It feels like you're driving a small crossover. After about a 3-hour drive, we got to this scenic resort in Subic, where Maxus set up a track for testing the vehicle's handling and safety features. First, let's talk about the safety features. In spec sheets, you tend to encounter these acronyms like ABS, EBD, traction control. These are features that you don't get to appreciate in daily driving, but in emergency situations, you definitely will get to appreciate them. So obviously, these are features that we can't test on public roads. So it's really good that Maxus provided a safe area for us to see these features at work. First is EBD, or Electronic Brake Force Distribution. So in this scenario, madulas yung left side ng road. The right side has normal traction. If you don't have EBD and you step on the brakes, you'll swerve towards the right because you have more traction there. Here, as demonstrated by Mr. Ramirez, you can stand on the brakes without even holding the steering wheel, and you won't swerve. So EBD basically modulates the braking force on either side of the vehicle to make sure that you're always pointing straight. Next, we drove it on the slalom course. The G50 is very athletic for a vehicle of this size and type. The steering is pretty quick and it's relatively flat on the corners.
Okay, good. Nice, go down. And then you're gonna go in here. You're gonna go out there on the right. Then
Next, I got to drive the top of the line variant, which comes equipped with a 360 camera system. This is perfect for those tight drive-thrus so you don't scuff your wheels. Overall, I was very impressed with the Maxus G50. From the base model all the way to the top of the line, it offers a level of refinement and performance that you don't usually get on budget 7-seater MPVs. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on my next video.